Hi, everybody. My name is Jane Mongi. I'm a Power BI developer. Over and above that, I happen to be a gun violence survivor. So I know firsthand the damage that a bullet can inflict on one's life, completely altering the trajectory of your life. Guns maim, guns kill, no doubt about it. So that's why this project is deeply personal to me. In the year 2015, a bullet went through the right side of my chest with an exit wound through my spine, paralyzing me from my chest down. I remember that night, I bled internally for 16 hours. The doctors could not account as to how I was still alive, owing to the amount of blood that was clogging my diaphragm. But by the grace of God, I survived. Many, unfortunately, do not. So, gun violence has been termed a uniquely American epidemic, and rightfully so. So mass shootings need not be an inevitable element of everyday American life. We can prevent them through common sense policy solutions. However, there's little indication at the state or federal level that any major policy changes are on the horizon. Yet mass killings keep happening at a staggering frequency, as evidenced by this image. So this is just a showcase of the recent mass shootings over the last few years. So in order to illustrate the magnitude of everyday gun violence in the US, this report analyzes the evolving trend between 2014 to 2015 in the number of shootings, fatalities, and injuries. I was able to come up with this dashboard, which has 4 charts. The first 2 are line and stacked column charts. The first one is shootings and fatalities per day, shootings and fatalities per region. I also had a scatter plot, fatalities versus injuries, and a field map, total shootings by city or county. So maybe some of you might be asking, what is a mass shooting? So according to the Gun Violence Archive, which is a nonprofit organization that tracks gun violence in the United States, it terms a mass shooting as a shooting that injured or killed 4 or more people, not including the shooter. So, in my data, I was able to come up with a data dictionary with my fact table being my mass shootings table, and I also came up with a calendar table and an all measures table, which had all my DAX formulas and my measures. So these are just some of my major KPIs: shootings year-over-year percentage, fatalities year-over-year percentage, shootings per day, fatalities per day, among others. So I was able to derive some positive insights from my data, so it's not all gloom and doom. So one of my positive insights was that the number of fatalities decreased. In the year 2018, fatalities recorded a 15.65% decrease, which is a 21.8% decrease in the number of fatalities as compared to the previous 2 years. In 2016, we had 453 fatalities, whereas in 2018, we had only 372 fatalities. So the next positive insight was that in the Southwest region, Oklahoma recorded the lowest injuries year-over-year, and it had no fatalities year-over-year. So it had only a slight increase in the number of injuries at 5.19%. Another positive insight similar to that is that in the Southeast region, West Virginia had the lowest shootings year-over-year and fatalities per day as well, whereby Mississippi as well had the lowest number of shootings per day and fatalities per day at 2 shootings per day and only 3 fatalities per day. So those are just some of the positive insights. Now on to my negative insights. Just to drive this point across, I'm just gonna go to my dashboard just to illustrate the first negative insight, whereby if you look at the Northeast region, I'm just gonna go there right now. In the Northeast region, in the year 2020, during the pandemic, shootings year-over-year went up a staggering 72.86% as compared to the previous year, which was in 2019. We see shootings only rise 27.27%. My second negative insight is that in the Bronx area, which is in New York, we see it had the highest fatalities year-over-year and shootings year over year at 75% and 33.33% respectively of all the cities in New York. Similarly, when we look at California, we see the city of Fresno. And just to note, California is the city with the, is the state with the highest number of fatalities and injuries. So we see the city of Fresno leading with shootings year over year and fatalities year over year at 28.57% and 50% respectively. So what can we do to bring these numbers down? How can we ensure that we all, are able to breathe a collective sigh of relief? So I was able to come up with some recommendations. And my first recommendation is that, policies should be in place, putting in more rigorous requirements for owning firearms. I believe that buying a car should be like buying a gun should be like buying a car. It is much easier to be a legal gun owner in America than it is to be a legal driver. So the government should come up with a policy that would require every buyer to obtain a license that includes a registration of all purchases and at least a modest training program. My second recommendation is, imposing stricter penalties for gun-related crimes. We see that the federal government offers the gun industry some extraordinary protections, and just to highlight something is that there's a law that was passed whereby it shields the gun industry from civil claims brought about by victims of gun violence. So I would recommend that holding gun manufacturers liable for the misuse of their products. So this will be a way of helping to incentivize them to make their products more safer, because guns do kill, guns do maim, guns do change lives. So my third recommendation is that the data highlights during the pandemic, the number of shootings went up, and this is due to widespread job losses that led to most people were all of us were at home, and it led to increase in stress, social isolation, and mental health issues, which contributed to to an increase in violent behavior, including an increase in the number of shootings, which went way up. So my recommendation is for the government to invest in mental health resources and make them more widely available, providing more funding for mental health clinics, implementing mental health education programs in schools, And on to my last recommendation is that, increase in federal research funding can go a long way in understanding the trends in gun violence. The restrictions in funding have had some, devastating consequences on what we know and what we do not know about, gun violence in this nation. So my recommendation is for instance, California is the first state that, opened its first firearms violence research center in an urgent investment response to find answers. So my recommendation is for other states like, New York, Texas, Illinois, with similar high metrics to invest in the same. So, the frequency of mass shootings in the United States over the years has undeniably been a cause for concern, as you have seen in this presentation. So I hope we never become desensitized or apathetic, seeing this as normal, because it is not normal. A holistic approach is needed by fostering a culture that actively works towards promoting prevention, intervention, and striving towards a future where such tragic events become increasingly rare. I'm sure we all want to see that, and hopefully we can make America safe again. It is possible, it can be done. Thank you for your attention.